Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning. Let's start by calling the Zoom meeting of the Hampton Village Zoning Board to order on a date that we will never forget in America. And I think we should just honor that were lost on September 11th, 2001. We have no minutes this time, so we will begin by closing a hearing of the James D. Danella application at 49 La Forest Lane. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now we have 3 out of the 5 determinations. I will read the name and addresses, and that was written by our village attorney, after which Ms. Bennett will poll the board. And if anybody would like more information, the complete application is on file at Village Hall. I'll start by James D. Danella at 49 La Forest Lane, who applied for alterations and to construct an addition. That has been granted.
Ms. Marigold?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. Hillel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Next, we have the West End Trust at 200 Georgia Road. They applied for a generator and an in-ground propane tank. That too has been granted.
Ms. Marigold?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. Hillel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
And now we have Calvin Klein and Marcy Klein, 69 West End Road, to construct a residence between the ocean and the pond front on a lot. And that has been granted.
Ms. Marigold?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. Hillel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
We have an amended resolution that from August 14th, 2020. There were 1 or 2 little glitches in it at 128 Lily Pond Lane. So there will be an amended determination about the ridge and the gable height and the amount of inches. That has been granted.
Ms. Marigold? Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Hillel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Mr. Minardi?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have 3 requests for adjournments, and the next meeting will be October 9th, 2020. We have a request from Donald R. Mullen Jr. at 67 Cross Highway for care of the Maidstone, premises of Lexington Lounge, LLC, 207 Main Street. And finally, Eric and Lori Blatstein at 211 Lily Pond Lane. Do I have a motion to accept the adjournments?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now we are going to start the new hearings. The first one is the application of Just G. and Elizabeth P. Sauter, 3 Georgia Road. Ms. Bennett, will you please read the notice?
Application of Justin G. and Elizabeth P. Sauter, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-812-5.10 for area variances from Chapter 278 zoning to construct a detached garage with an attached pool house / cabana structure.
Yes.
A 2-foot 8-inch variance is requested from Section 278 3D 6C to construct a garage with a height of 22 feet 4 inches when the maximum permitted height of a garage is 20 feet. A 20-foot variance is required from Section 278 3A5C to construct a pool house / cabana building 20 feet from the rear yard lot line where the required setback is 40 feet and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 43,806 square feet in size and is located at 3 Georgia Road in Residence District R80. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with CEQA.
Is the applicant present?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Christopher Ang, 93 Main Street, West Sayville, the design professional for the owner. We are proposing a combination garage and pool cabana on this property. The height is due to the fact that we're trying to keep the cabana at the same level as the pool. So in order to get just a regular ceiling height in the cabana, we're actually raising the roof a little bit to accommodate that. The side yard setback of 20 feet instead of 40 feet, we really don't have space to kind of to move it in another location to get that 40-foot setback. We feel that what we're proposing here is not going to change the nature or character of the neighborhood, and we don't see that we could actually feasibly obtain this structure without an area variance from the village. We don't feel that the variance is substantial, and we don't think that it will have an adverse or physical effect, negative effect onto the environmental conditions. And we feel that we don't think that the variance was self-inflicted. I just want to open up.
What's the pool height? I'm just.
I know
it's
well,
out of.
It actually the grade from the existing driveway to the pool is about probably about 5 feet.
Okay.
Is there anything up? You have windows up on the roof. Are you having like storage up there, or is there?
It's only going to be storage up there. The garage is actually not going to have a ceiling in it. The windows are for aesthetic only. So I think they're both owners own Jeeps, so they're looking for a higher ceiling in there so I can put a lift to pull the roof off their Jeeps. But there's not going to be like attic space above that.
You're asking for 4 inches above the required, the acceptable height in that building.
Correct.
Is there anybody from the public that wants to make a comment?
Wait,
Right now,
Craig.
there's no callers on the line.
Okay. So, sorry, Craig. Go ahead.
Craig, the permitted height is 20 feet, and they're
asking for 4 inches more. Why do they need 4 inches more?
no, they're asking for 2 feet, a 2 feet 8 inch.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm reading my notes wrong.
Yeah.
What?
We're actually doing a combination of the pool house and the cabana, so we're trying to make up the height difference from the driveway to the height of the paving at the pool. So with that, the ceiling height in the cabana is going to be 8 feet, and it drops down about 5 feet in the garage. And because of that height difference that we're trying to make up from the driveway to the height of the pool, that's the reason why we're asking for the extra height on that.
Yeah, if you've been in there, the pool is elevated.
Yeah, it's a very.
It makes sense looking at it and listening to what you're telling us. So,
May I speak?
Yes, Phil.
So, on the survey, you called out the town regulations as opposed to the village regulations. You didn't put on the survey the pool setback envelope. You didn't put the accessory setback envelope. Assuming the scale's correct, if you separate the cabana and the garage, you have room in the northwest corner where you can put the garage in an appropriate spot and not have to get a variance. In addition, by doing that, you could put the cabana so you meet the setback. Again, that's provided that the scale, the 1 to 30 was correct on the survey you provided. You're asking for 50% variance going from 40 feet to 20 feet. I find that substantial. there's no reason for, a 2-foot plus height variance. It's not defensible in this case, even though the pool is raised 5 feet. You have plenty of other options. This is definitely not the minimum variance required to accomplish what you're looking for, being both a garage and a pool house. It might be the minimum to, it might be, you might have to look at it a little different as to separating the two out.
That's correct. If we did separate the two structures, we would not need an area variance from the board. That's correct.
Why would you be in an area variance? There's plenty of room.
No, I'm sorry. When I say area variance, the side yard setback, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you could put it in different places.
You're correct. They would like it.
Why not put the garage, let's see, south of the pool?
I think, Larry, we were saying the same thing. There's plenty of other options. Obviously, we can only evaluate the application that's in front of us.
Yeah,
So I don't know if anybody else has any comments or if we should close the hearing and vote.
Well, I've repeatedly asked them why they can't separate the two, the garage and the pool house. And they just stick with this is what they want. And I agree with you. I think we should separate the two.
all right. Well, I hope you're listening to all of this. And I think we should close the hearing, let you go back to your clients and talk to them and see what they want to do.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Would that be, when you say close the hearing, is that the equivalent to an adjournment?
No, it's a denial. It would probably be a denial, or if enough people approve it, it'll be an approval. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well,
I make a motion to close the hearing.
so moved.
You want to poll?
Was there a second?
Your second?
I thought Liz just seconded.
I second it.
And what
Want to
about,
go around, Liz, see who's in favor, who's not?
well, okay, Phil, are you in favor or not?
I am not in favor of approving this.
Craig?
No, I'm not in favor because of the precedents that it sets, and especially that you can separate the garage and the pool house without any difficulty.
And Larry, I think I know your answer too.
Yeah, I think they could avoid the variances.
Okay, well, we have our three,
There you go.
and so we are going to close this hearing. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next
you.
one, thank you. The next one is the David Cool Revocable Trust, Michelle Cool Revocable Trust, 4 Lockwood Lane. Ms. Bennett, please.
Application of David Cool Revocable Trust and Michelle Cool Revocable Trust, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-1310-16 for area variances from Chapter 278 zoning to construct a pool house and pool equipment. Variances of 9.1 feet and 13 feet are required from Section 278-3A-5C to construct a pool house and swimming pool equipment 30.9 feet and 27 feet from the rear yard lot line where the required setbacks are 40 feet. An 8-inch variance is requested from Section 278-3D6 to permit a pool house to be 14 feet 8 inches in height, where the maximum height for a pool house is 14 feet and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 43,632 square feet in size and is located at 4 Lockwood Lane in Residence District R160. The property is located within the Ocean Avenue Historic District and is subject to the Design Review Board approval. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SEQA.
Is the applicant present?
Yes, good morning, members of the board. Brian DeSessa of the Miller Group, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7, Bridgehampton, New York, attorney for the applicant. So we're here for property located at 4 Lockwood Lane. Before I get into the reasons, I think history is important here. This structure that's being proposed was constructed in 1999, received a variance from this zoning board of appeals in 2001 to have the structure located where we're proposing and the relief we're requesting today. The applicant acquired the property approximately 2 years ago, filed permits, went before the Architectural Review Board for a renovation addition on the property. Hired local architect, hired a local contractor. The local contractor, in doing demo and site work, took down the pool house that we were proposing to remain in the same spot. So it was an interpretation from the building inspector that even though there was a variance granted by this board in 2001 for the structure as we're proposing it today, since we were going to rebuild that structure in the like-kind place, a new variance would be necessary. So I think that part of history is important, that this structure that we're proposing here has existed on the site since 2001, which was permitted by variance and had a certificate of compliance.
But when you're starting anew, you can avoid the variance, can't you?
I can't because of the following. So when the project was designed, the renovation of the house, the pool and the pool house, contemplated the structures remaining in the same places. The owner was told by the builder that they would be able to rebuild this in the like-kind place. So the house, the pool, and the pool house were all set up dimensionally based on what was approved and what was there. So if it was a blank slate, I would agree with you that we could have redesigned based on that. But the design, and I do have the architect, Anthony Vermandois, here, the design and the permits for the house were done so with the volume of this pool house being situated in the current location. The lot is a corner lot, so it has 2 front yards. It fronts on 2 streets. So this area is heavily wooded as to where the proposed building would be put back, as well as screened. My position is that it wouldn't create an undesirable change to the community or neighborhood in granting the relief, because the board has previously granted the relief to have this building here in 2001, and we would be merely putting back what was previously there. The benefit to the applicant can't be achieved by any other means, because the design of the house, the renovation, and the rebuild all worked from the position that these were the setbacks that were permitted by that variance. These were where the buildings were allowed to be constructed, and this is how it would be rehabbed. So the location of the house was fixed. The location of the pool was changed to be between the house and the pool house, where the pool house would be fixed. So the applicant doesn't have any other means than seeking an area variance, since that was the setup. He was told that that would be able to be accomplished based on, local professionals in which he hired to accomplish this project.
But why didn't you do it before you did it?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Why didn't you ask for the variances before you built it?
We didn't build this. So the pool house was there.
Saying when you renovated this and the building inspector told you need a variance, why don't you ask for a variance before you went so far?
So timing wise, that's what's, if I wasn't clear, let me clarify. The applicant hired a local contractor to do the work. The local contractor said, since you already had a certificate of compliance and you had a previous variance for the building, that the building could be taken down and rebuilt in place. So the building went down prior to the conversation with the building inspector saying, now that it's a new building, you need a new variance. So the applicant relied on the contractor saying it could come down and be rebuilt in the same location.
So you learned.
But you had a building inspector. He gave his comment, right?
After the building had come down.
But nobody checked with him before, right?
My understanding is that the builder did not.
You learned a lesson that when things are taken down,
Yeah, that's if they would have known that, they wouldn't have taken the building down, and we wouldn't have to be here. That's part of the difficulty here for the applicant.
I have 2 questions. Brian, is this variance, is the only thing that's being added to this variance is an additional 8 inches in height?
That is correct.
Okay, and then Beth, I have a question for you. I thought variances ran with the land.
They do. It depends on if the board conditioned on specific plans.
Okay, so if the board conditioned on specific plans and they rebuilt to the exact same plans, then the variance would run with the land, correct?
I would think so.
So really what we're looking for here is an 8-inch variance to comply with FEMA, which the FEMA laws have changed since the original variance was granted. So I see this as, obviously it seems to have been a mistake. They're not looking to gain. It doesn't seem like they're looking to gain anything additional other than the 8-inch variance to comply with the new FEMA law. What's the total height of the building, Anthony or Brian?
14 feet, 8 inches.
So, it's a lot lower than other buildings that were built at the time. And I think it still comes in under what our code has for height, even increasing the 8 inches to comply with FEMA. This is something I would be in favor of. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Can I just make one point? It's Billy Hayjack here. I'm just reading over the variance that was previously granted by the board in 2002. And I'm sorry?
I can't hear you.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
So the variance that was granted in 2002, I believe, was for the shed that's attached to the pool house. The pool house did exist, but it's not clear to me, unless there's a variance that I don't have on record. The variance that was granted was for the attached shed to the pool house, not for the actual pool house.
So the pool house was built, the pool house was constructed prior to, in conformance at the time of the setback.
Yep.
Then a shed was added, which all makes it part of the same structure. Because it's not a separate detached shed. So the shed is attached to the pool house.
Yeah.
So the building itself, they differentiated in the decision. They singled that out and said that was an as-built, prior owner, not my owner. But correct, as well as the generator, which isn't applicable here.
Yeah, but the pool house was, that could be why the building inspector said, the variance that runs with the land is for the shed, not necessarily for the pool house, but that might just be splitting hairs, so.
Okay, well, Phil, you can talk. John,
I'm good.
you're good?
Yep.
Let's see, Larry. I don't see him.
Me, Larry, I'll accept it.
Okay, and I'm good with it. So is there a motion to close the hearing?
No move.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have Gary M. Kravitz and Marielle Creo Kravitz at 2 Bading Hollow Road. Ms. Bennett, please read the notice.
Application of Gary M. Kravitz and Marielle Creo Kravitz, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-810-29.3 for variances from Chapter 278 zoning to construct a single-family residence and accessory improvements. A 603 square foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A-13A to construct a single-family residence containing 7,590 square feet of gross floor area where the maximum permitted gross floor area is 6,987 square feet. A 941 square foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A-9A to allow 13,699 square feet of coverage where the maximum permitted coverage is 12,758 square feet. The subject property is 68,385 square feet in area and is located at 2 Bading Hollow Road in Residence District R80. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SEQA.
Is the applicant present?
Good morning, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7, Bridgehampton, New York. Attorney for the applicants. The owners are on as well as the architects. The property is located on the corner of Buckskill Road and Bading Hollow Road. The existing lot contains a dilapidated 2-story house, tennis court, and has been, in talking to the neighbors, an eyesore to that area of the neighborhood for some time. I did obtain, as of this morning, which I will forward over, a letter in support of the application from the Mendez family, who own the adjoining property to the south. So I will forward that to the board separate from that. I'd like to address first the gross floor area request and then the lot coverage request. The lot being uniquely configured, having 2 front yards, it would be difficult to site a detached garage. So the garage being attached to the dwelling here counts toward the total gross floor area. And specifically, the garage is 678 square feet. In addition to that, we have 3 rooms. There's a great room, a foyer, and a staircase that exceed 15 feet in ceiling height, thus driving a double count in terms of the gross floor area. Those 3 rooms total a footprint of 742 square feet. So the intent of the gross floor area is to correlate massing of a house to the property size. So what I would submit to the board here is that the house in and of itself is not that of a massing issue for the lot, because when you take into consideration the double height areas of 742 square feet, and the fact that we're attaching the garage versus detaching the garage and adding additional buildings, the garage being 678 square feet, you come to almost 1,400 square feet of area that I would submit to the board is inclusive of the house, but does not add to the massing of the house. The applicants would also be willing to condition that the garage would never be converted into living space. The design is that we're trying to minimize the amount of buildings on the lot, and that's why the garage was included there. So the applicants would support a covenant or restriction being filed against the property, promising that the garage would never be turned into living space at a later date. And it also is nice because now you're not having a separate detached garage, which would be somewhat of a challenge to site based on the 2 front yards of the property. The existing house contains a tennis court, if you drove by, which sits approximately 32 feet from the southern lot line and forward of the existing house toward Baiting Hollow Road. That tennis court is proposed to be removed, replaced to the back area of the property. The tennis court does not in and of itself need relief, but it's important, I think, for the board to understand in terms of the site plan and how it's being developed. That tennis court is proposed to be sunk and screened. And in addition, in talking to the Mendez family attorney, we've agreed to move the tennis court 10 feet to the north, which I would submit on a revised site plan to this board. So that tennis court will move 10 feet further north and be sunken, as well as additional screening on the property. The lot coverage variance obviously is in total of 941 square feet, which for this size of a lot, I would submit is not noticeable. It wouldn't create any detriment to the neighborhood. In fact, on point 4 of your test, the impact to the neighborhood specific to the environmental impacts would be positive on this project. You're getting a new septic system, new drainage, new plantings. Where the applicant proposes to remove existing structures that are outside of the property line onto the village line, new screening, clearing up a blighted house, if you will, to the neighborhood, which would correlate to factor 1 as to whether or not the granting of this variance would create a detriment to the neighborhood. I would submit not. It's actually a positive. It's going to clean up a corner of the village end of this street. We don't view the variance request as substantial when viewed in light of the attached garage, the double height ceilings at this point. And although it is somewhat driven in terms of the pool patios, is where that lot coverage, most of it can be cited to. Any questions from the board so far?
Yeah, well, one, Kent in his memo says that the pool house is over the GFA and the stone wall is on village right away. That's
So
not mentioned.
The pool house was reduced in size to 250 square feet to comply, and there was a revised plan submitted approximately 6 weeks ago. And the stone wall is proposed to be removed. We didn't construct that. My applicants acquired that. So we would remove anything not on the applicant's property because that's on the village property.
Okay.
So,
The architect designed the house. Did he know about the village code and the double height counting for twice the amount of square feet?
He did know about that, and then so there were two parts to that. So the double height we were planning for when we were then trying to figure out the garage versus having another building. We attached the garage. So the garage in and of itself is 678 square feet, which could be attributable to we're over by 603 square feet. So the garage in and of itself, if we're removed and then a separate structure was put up, would be an alternative. But with two front yards and citing that, it was a practical challenge for the applicants in the property. And aesthetically, they believed having a single structure would actually set up and view as less massing for people driving on either Buckskill or Baiting Hollow.
It's a very large garage. How many cars?
Let's see, is Chuck on the line?
2-car garage.
It's an oversized 2-car garage.
so, you were talking about, Brian, before the garage going into the GFA and the double height going into the GFA, and that it's your feeling that it doesn't add to the massing. I mean, the zoning code was specifically designed to address that because it does go to the massing. Otherwise, you can wind up with an extremely large floor plate with ceilings that are, 15 feet or higher, and it changes the mass. I feel like you hired a competent architect. It's basically a brand new build. They could design something that complies with the zoning code. If you detach the garage, the height of the garage drops off. So that reduces some of the mass also. I feel like on these new builds, the code's there. You got a competent architect. You can design to the code. I think it's an overreach to do a new build and not design to the code.
It's a large house too. I mean, we all know what that corner is like. I had a friend who lived on Buckskill, and those are all fairly small houses on Buckskill, and this house is going to be probably prominent from Montauk Highway. It's 8 bedrooms and 9 baths, I believe. Is that true? Is that so?
It's I believe there's 6 bedrooms, but the way the health department calculates it, that's why you're seeing the 8 number, but I'll confirm that for you.
Okay, because I mean, that's by anybody's standards, a large house. So when it comes in 103 feet over the GFA on a new build, we find that, very hard to accept. John?
I agree with everything Phil said, and I agree everything you said. I mean, I think they should be able to get this to fit on the property. So.
Larry, a comment?
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement that they don't need variance with new construction.
Okay, back to Phil.
Yeah, I think, it's new construction. You can design to fit.
So are you closing the hearing or?
Yes, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Can I say something? Could I possibly say something?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Obviously, I appreciate it this morning. We understand the size of the house, but we also see it. We changed the address from Southern Buckskill Road to 2 Baiting Hollow as soon as we acquired the property out of bankruptcy several years ago. Our goal is here, obviously, is to beautify the corner and to create a beautiful home for our family. I really appreciate the board's time here, but, I take a little bit of issue, with all due respect, in terms of the sizing and the scale of the house, because if you look at the neighbors up and down Baiting Hollow Road, all of the houses are substantially bigger and growing bigger as we go. So, I appreciate the zoning. I appreciate the building architect, Our goal was to build something that was beautiful, that was size appropriate for the scope and size of the site, and to do the right thing by the board. I would really request respectfully that the board reconsider their position with respect to making us go back and revise or revise the variances on the double heights, because that's really what we're talking about here. I really don't want to have to separate the garage. I think that changes, as Brian said, the perspective of the house and how it sits on the plan. Of course we're not going to use it for living conditions, and as Brian said, we'd be more than happy to stipulate to that.
Well,
Can we ask the board for an adjournment to the next meeting, and we can have a discussion and see if there are alternatives that we could present to the board?
I think you could resubmit an application, but what's in front of us right now, the issue that the board has is that you're doing a new construction. You should be able, with a competent architect, to design to the code. There's no reason to exceed the code. You're talking about, even if you were at the code of 6,987 square feet, that doesn't include your lower level, where you can pick up another, 3,000 square feet of living space fairly easily. I think that the house is, regardless of whether it's scaled for the neighborhood or not, I think the primary issue is that there's a code to build to when you do a new home. The appeals board is really for relief when you get some obscure result, when you apply the zoning code to a particular property, because we all know if you apply it across the board, there'll be some properties that it won't fit. Here, if you apply it correctly to this property, you can still get, a nice size home, a garage, everything that you need. So
we're not picking on you.
Liz,
East Hampton Village Zoning Board generally takes the same stance that at a new build, try, as hard as you can to get to our code, which is what we use as our guideline. So.
he's asking us if we would not close the hearing and keep it open. Normally we've done that. Why wouldn't we? Let them come back if they can find something different.
Okay. Phil, is that all right with you?
I think we should evaluate the applications that are in front of us, not trade back and forth, but.
Also it's an oversized 2-car garage. You could save GFA and reducing it to a normal 2-car garage. There's a lot of ways you could do it without changing the major construction.
That's what I was thinking, and that's why I was seeking an opportunity for us to have those conversations offline with the client.
I'll tell you, my feeling is if you can't design to the code, you're going to wind up most likely with the same result.
Okay, well, since this has been a new way of doing things, I think we'll adjourn this one since you have asked for it. So
thank you.
Brian.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Then we have 7 David's Lane LLC, 7 David's Lane.
Liz, I can't hear you too well. I heard you better before.
I know something just happened. I'm looking at my computer. 7 David's Lane at 7 David's Lane. Is that better?
I can hear you.
Much better.
Please read the application, Ms. Bennett.
Sure. Application of 7 David's Lane LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-392 for variances from Chapter 278 zoning to make alterations and construct additions to the single-family residence and to make alterations to a second building containing habitable space where one residence is permitted on this lot. A 434 square foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A-13A to make alterations and construct additions to a residence totaling 3,014 square feet in gross floor area where the maximum permitted gross floor area is 2,580 square feet. A variance is required from Section 278-7C 2D1 to make alterations to a building containing a second residential use, which is deemed a non-conforming use, on a parcel of land that has permitted one single-family residence. Variances of 16.8 feet and 18.2 feet are required from Section 278-3A-4A to make alterations to a pre-existing non-conforming building located 2.1 feet from the side yard lot line and 3.8 feet from the rear yard lot line where the required side yard setback is 18.9 feet and the required rear yard setback is 22 feet, and any other relief required. The subject property is 15,803 square feet in area and is located at 7 Davids Lane in residence districts R80 and R40. This project is classified as a type 2 action in accordance with CEQA.
Applicant present.
Hi, good morning. Chairwoman, hi, members of the board. Trevor Darrell, 10 Gingerbread Lane, East Hampton, New York, for the applicant. As Pam just read, this variance application is for two separate variances from my looking at it. The first I'd like to address would be the existing cottage. That's the pre-existing non-conforming secondary structure that's on the property. And just so the board is clear, there's no, because I know that you've had a bunch of these recently, there's no proposal to actually amend or change that habitable space in that existing accessory structure. This application, and I went over it when we first were submitting this to the village with the, I can't remember if it was Kenny or Kent, but basically the opinion of the building department was if we're going to swap out from two garage doors, which is what is there now, which are smaller, to one single garage door, it's a change to the structure, which will require approval from this board. So when we're dealing with that accessory non-conforming structure, what the applicant is seeking to do, she's a single woman, 74 years old. She's the only one parking her car in that existing garage, and she wants to be able to drive it in with some convenience as opposed to having to squeak it through the much smaller existing two doors, if that makes sense. There's no other proposed changes to the interior of that garage or the layout or the housing or expanding of the habitable space in that unit.
Right. I think the garage doors were made for Model Ts or something.
Exactly. So the point of that variance, so recognizing this board has ruled on that cottage in the past, with the prior owner had asked to expand the habitable space. We understand that that is not what is being proposed here. This is really a more, a user-friendly door to be installed in the cottage. So I think that then turning the second variance, which is the gross floor area variance, which is on the main structure. And as I said before, Ms. Kell, the owner, is 74 years old, and there currently is no bedroom on the first floor. So the applicant is seeking to install a bedroom on the first floor, and it's somewhat not complicated, but I think if I remember a few meetings back, there was some conversation about we're seeking a variance, so we have to start at the permissible level. The property currently sits as non-conforming because it has an additional 176 square feet of GFA over what would be permitted. So what we're asking the board actually to approve is an additional 258 square feet over what's already existing. But when you add it on to what's existing, the variance that needs to be approved is for the 434, if that makes sense. So while it looks like it's 434 square foot variance, what we're seeking to actually increase the existing GFA is only by 258 square feet.
Is there any second floor on top of this new bedroom?
A second floor on top of the new bedroom? Yes.
Why would that be needed if the key thing is a first floor bedroom for an older woman? Why have a second floor and you can reduce the square foot variance?
Well, so I'm misspeaking then. There's not habitable space above the bedroom.
Right. I mean, well, why have a second floor if the key thing is a first floor bedroom for an older woman not to have to go upstairs?
Right. It's roof deck over the bedroom. It's not habitable space.
Okay.
Is that what it was? Am I?
Okay, if it's not habitable space, okay.
Right.
She's going to lift this house, right, Trevor? And
Yes, right. So that's part of the
that's a big
application. Is that the house currently sits in a non-conforming location from side yard and front yard setbacks. So the proposal is to actually pick up this house and move it interior to the property so that it actually conforms to front yard and rear yard setbacks. And where the proposed bedroom is going is actually right now patio space with trellises. So it's, what you see there, as you drive by, what we're basically doing is closing it convert it into a bedroom.
Yeah, as you drive by it looks like it's habitable space anyway from the street.
Correct. We're not changing the actual, what would be the facade, but we would be conforming it to setbacks.
This is quite a project.
No, and the fact that she's undertaking this project, keeping the old house that's there, and going to lift it and move it, I think it's great. So I'm all for it. So,
Bill, what do you say? Bill? All right, we'll go to Larry.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Okay, and Craig?
This is fine. They're going to move us into a better space, so I have no objection.
Sorry, I was muted before. I think it's great that they're reconstructing it and moving it into a conforming location. Obviously, I see no issue with the garage either, just replacing two doors with one door. So I think it's the minimum necessary to get what they're looking for, and that it's going to be, it's going to fit in with the neighborhood.
Is there any phone call or anything? Do we have anybody else who would like to be heard on this?
There's no callers on the line.
Okay, so we can actually close this hearing.
I make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and then we have Fulling Mill Farm LLC at 10 Briar Patch Road. I think, John, you said you were being.
Yeah, I'm not going to be on this one. Or choose yourself, ma'am.
Chris, are you going to?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Ms. Bennett, would you please read the notice?
Sure. Application of Fulling Mill Farm LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-12-4-15.3 for a variance from Chapter 278 zoning to allow an accessory playing court to exist on property without a principal building. A variance is requested from Section 278(1)A to permit the continued existence of an accessory playing court on a property without a principal building. The subject property is 81,762 square feet in area and is located at 10 Briar Patch Road in Residence District R160. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with CEQA.
The applicant present.
Hi, this is Melissa Dedovich, Baconic Environmental Associates. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. How this started is actually my clients own the property also next door is Tony and Seth Bernstein. They are the principals of the Fulling Mill LLC. And they have the 3.25 acre property next door. When they purchased that property, they also purchased the subject property, which at the time had the existing residence, which has a C of O from 1999, but nothing has been no maintenance or anything on that property since probably 1999. There's a family of raccoons living there. It's falling apart. There was another barn that used to be on the property that has collapsed. And there was at one point a swimming pool that was becoming a mosquito ditch that was removed as well. In 2018, the clients built a basketball court there, thinking that in the future they were going to do a guest house. Long story short, the clients decided after talking to a couple architects that the existing residence was really too much in disrepair. So they were thinking in the future of putting a guest house there, but they're not prepared to do so at the time. So I went to go meet with the members of the building department, and I asked, what do we need to do to get a demolition permit here? And they said, well, actually, you have to get a variance, or you could just knock it down like everybody else does and then ask for forgiveness afterwards. And I said, no, that's not how we roll. So they recommended that we file for this. I know in Southampton Town and East Hampton Town, they do allow you to have an accessory structure if you should show some contiguous ownership between the two lots or some relationship between the two lots. Again, the LLC that owns this property are the same principals that own the property next door. It's a rather large lot. It's 1.9 acres. It already is served by a 25-foot scenic easement off of Briar Patch Road. And that's what we're asking. And like I said, there's a family of raccoons living there, and we really would just like to take it down. It's a safety issue now. There's grass growing out of the gutters, and it's just not safe to keep there anymore.
If there's nobody from the public, I'd like to speak. Is anybody from the public? No. So I'd like to note that this is well within the pool and playing court envelope, which is a big deal. If we're going to approve something like this, I would be in favor of removing that house, which God only knows what could happen to it if it continues to be unmaintained.
It's a beautiful piece of property, and I think it would be a real asset to the village to have it open and clear the way it is going to be, because, old derelict. The only thing I have is 1999, you're making it sound like it's 1899, that it's falling apart in, 21 years is pretty scary, but it will certainly look better, without it. And I hope someday that we, in the village, that you won't have to come before us, but it's, not yet. John?
I'm not on this one.
Of course, I bet you weren't. Chris?
Yeah, I have got no problem with this. We've allowed these courts or swimming pools or tennis courts to be allowed on properties before, so it's fine with me.
Larry?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so we have a quorum on that. Is there a motion to close this hearing?
I got one quick question. Beth, do we have to put something in the determination that it can stay as long as it's held in the same beneficial ownership? But if it no longer becomes the same beneficial ownership, they have to remove the court? I can't hear you.
You don't have to. That's part of the code in East Hampton Town.
Okay.
But that's not a requirement in the village.
All right, I make a motion to close the.
You have the public. You haven't asked if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak.
I did before I went.
Oh, okay. Well, could I speak?
Yep.
Okay. Liz, I just want to point out to you, I don't object to this, but I just want to point out that this is a very historical structure. This was the home of the pony farm that used to be on the corner of Georgica Road and Montauk Highway. And this is where the ponies were kept in the 60s, the 70s, I think, into the 80s. I would just suggest, and Melissa, I don't object to this, obviously, but I just think Bob Hefner should look at this building. There might be something here in this building that we may want to maintain. And if they're going to destroy it before they destroy it, he really should take a look at it. This is a very old historic structure.
Actually, I actually, and Pam could share, I did share some pictures. It may have been historic at one point, which I'm not aware of, but if you look at the pictures of the property, somebody put sliding glass doors in the back. There was different work done in the building. I mean, it was definitely renovated sometime, again, in probably the night. That's why the 1999 C of O is there. And again, there was no issue when the existing barn that was there, that probably was the timber barn that you're talking about, collapsed and had to be removed. So I don't think this particular building is of any historic significance. There was a pool attached to it, and the shed that's on the one side of the house is actually the pool equipment and the filter and everything too. So I'm not sure if it was actually part of the pony barn itself.
Well, it may or may not be, but
I'm not setting this application, Len. I'm just saying the gentleman who ran the pony farm was Willard Nichols. Actually, my cousin worked for Willard Nichols. They took the ponies down every day from Fully Mill Farms down to the corner of the highway. She can tell you whether that was the pony farm or pony barn or not.
Correct.
So,
I just did something, we're trying to preserve as many old structures in the village as we can. Liz, could I just comment about another application now that we're done with this? I wanted to ask Billy, with respect, I know Beth probably wasn't able to finish Kennard, but because we're getting into the planting season on Kennard, would it be possible for Kennard to get started on the planting so we don't wait another 2 months before the written determination comes down?
I don't know if we should be talking about that. I think the board is still discussing an application, right?
Yeah. I thought you closed the record. I thought you were all done. All right, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
What? Where is this coming from? I think we should close this hearing, but look into whether there is any historic value, because that certainly answers why a house from 1999 would be in such disrepair.
Well, this is actually part of the two-lot subdivision of Sandra Phelan, and the house next door that the Bernsteins did purchase was one of the first landmark timber house restorations, if you may recall. And we worked very closely with Bob on that.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sorry?
He probably then has looked at the other structure at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's a motion to close the hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have an application that's been withdrawn without prejudice, Book Georgica LLC at 82 Appaquag Road. Do I have a motion to accept that?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anything else?
No, motion to close the meeting.
Wait, can I ask the question about Kennard?
I think you better do it offline.
Offline?
Offline. Called Beth and called Billy.
Oh, okay.
It's not on the agenda.
It was on the agenda for determination. I think since it's on the agenda, why can't I ask a question about it now?
Which one is it?
Summer House 30 LLC.
Oh, Summer House 30. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
You want to do the plantings, Len? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I mean, Ed has asked me if I could inquire of you. I don't mean to rush Beth. She needs the time to finish it. I understand. But because of the planting season, I thought it would be a reasonable request to allow him to get started with the planting so he doesn't have to wait another month.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a decision I can make. Putting in the revegetation, if he wanted to do that.
Well, that's what we're talking about, I guess, is the revegetation.
Yeah, I think that would be. I mean, he's establishing plantings, native plantings.
All right, so we'll go off the record and we'll talk about it with Ed.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. Meeting is closed.
nice day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.